Hello friends, myself Mr. Sagar Tukaram Kadlak from Gokhale Education Society's Arts, Commerce and Science College, Jawar. Today in this video we are going to study about the topic climate change. This is the topic from TYBSC Zoology, paper 5, Applied Component, semester 6, Environmental Science and Pollution. So first question is that what is climate change? So when there is a change in a expected weather occurs, we can call it as a climate change, or climate is the long term which is statistically expressed in the short term weather. So it can be ultimately defined as the expected weather. When the changes in the expected weather occur, we call these climate changes, or we call it as a changed climate. So they can be defined by a different ways, or by the differences between the average weather and the condition at two separate times or phases of the environment. So this climate may change in a different way over a different time scale and at a different geographical scales. So in a recent time, the scientists have become interested in the global warming due to the mankind of the climate system, or the mankind impact on the climate system, though the enhancement of the natural greenhouse effect is occurs continuously in the environment. So the overall state of global climate is determined by the amount of energy stored by the climate system, and in a particular the balance between the energy of the environment or the earth received from the sun and this energy which is earth released back to the space is called as the global energy change. That is the amount of energy received by the earth and the specific heat or the energy which is released back to the space by the earth. So there will be a maintenance of the energy in the particular earth atmosphere, and that particular energy we can call as the global energy balance between the atmosphere of environment or the earth and the particular sun or solar system. So how this energy is balanced, regulated, and which depends upon the flows of energy within the global climate system. So this particular diagram shows the different correlations between the human health and the climate change. The particular environmental factor change will ultimately affect the whole system of this energy system or the global energy balancing system. Now these changes causes the climate change include the changes in the earth orbit around the sun, changes in the amount of energy coming from the sun, changes in the ocean circulation, or changes in the composition of the atmosphere. Though the earth history of a climate has fluctuated over a period of time relatively warm and to the coldest one. So if we study it as a paleoclimatologically, or the history of the climatic conditions, the climate and climatic changes is prior to the period of direction of the measurement. These directions are recorded and the climatic elements, components, or the changes or the tiny fractions of the climatic history have been used to predict the future changes inside the environment or the climate. So, a longer perspective on the climatic variability can be obtained by the study of a natural phenomena which is climate dependent. Such phenomena provides the record of past climate changes and are relevant through the study the amongst other technique, trees rings, the ice core, sea floor sedimentation, or the variation in the seasons. This will help to just get the knowledge about how the climate will change in the future. Due to that, we can manage the overall our productivity or overall movement of the day-to-day life. Now, if we consider that a human health as a center point for the climate change, if a stratospheric ozone layer will be depleted due to the number of greenhouse effects, the ultimately UV rays directly exposed to the humans or on the earth and causes a various hazardous effect on the human as well as the all living beings on the earth. That will also help to lose the biodiversity and the ecosystem functions from the environment. So this ozone depletion is another one simple example which is clearly gives an idea about the climate change effect on the human health. Then it also diverse the different pathways of the ecology. If we know about the food chain, energy chain or energy cycles, this climate change also affect these cycles and causes the diversity or diverse pathway in the ecological habitat and ecological conditioning. Then if there is will climate change, the desertification, land degradation, agro ecosystem or agro eco productivity, the population deployment, then the population variation, the water quality, then the precipitation formation in different water areas, soil areas. These changes ultimately affects on the climatic condition as well as water resources and to the environment. So ultimately it is get connected with the human health and causes a damage to the human being or the health of human beings. If we consider or take an example from the last 100 years, the earth surface and a lower part of the atmosphere have warmed up on above 0.6 degrees Celsius, and during this period the amount of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere has tremendously increased by a human activity, largely as a result of the burning of fossil fuel for the different purposes, land changes, deforestation and various kind of different activity which is used for the mankind purpose. Now this climate change have a lot of consequences in earth surface as well as the normal environmental conditions. It is already having an impact on a plant and animals life, that is the global warming and the climate change. It's considered as the most probable man-made disasters or the man-made sources which damaging the environment. Now if we consider the different effect of the climate change, we can see there are near about 8 to 9 different effect occurs on the environment. So the climate change can be really having lots of negative consequences. It is important to do some help or activity to decrease the amount of changes in the climate that will occur in the future due to the current activity and make the environment more stable for the climatic conditions. At some point the earth will be too hot for a people, or there will be too cold for the people or for the living being if we do not change this kind of a climatic changing conditions, or we do not manage to maintain the climatic changes. It is already having a lots of impact on the living beings, and if you want to maintain it or don't want to see get much more worse now onwards, so this will be a need to we have to go as a green resources or the to a green environment. If we consider that the changes occurred in the climate have an effect in a different 6 to 8 ways or different points. That first one is the changes in the rainfall. In couple of decades, the excessive rainfall, drought, hurricanes, floods have become a quite frequent to us. So this is the simple indication and the effect of climatic changes conditions. While few area have experienced plenty of rainfall, then these areas are the faces drought throughout the year because of the changes in the climatic conditions. So this is the best example of effect of climatic changes. So as we know, the water is the major resource for the living system, and if it changes for the availability purpose, its effect is a very horrible for the living system. Then the second one, the depletion of Arctic ice. Though the greenhouse effect or the environmental changes is necessary for the all of us to survive on this planet, but if it is get increased in the manner of greenhouse or the climatic changes or the man-made resources, that lead to the rise in a temperature and can result in the harmful effect to the ecology and the environment. The increase in the temperature causes the depletion of Arctic ice or the polar region, that get shrink the Arctic ice and leading to the rise of sea level, or there will be the worst effect on the living system which is dependent on this Arctic ice area. Then the third one is that the wildfire. When a hot and dry conditions occur, there will be a wildfire causes in the forest, and it spread across the dense forest to make it a perfect recipe for the disaster. And if it goes on continuous, then the lot of different species get vanished or burned due to this wildfire. They do not only reduces the green cover but also pushes animals toward high altitude. And this changes that animal cannot be able to survive in this changed altitude region or the environment, and causes them the vanishing effect, or we can simply say that it get pushed towards the in list of the endangered species, harmful disease, or different other conditions. Then the next one is a heat wave. The large amount of greenhouse gases released from the industries, vehicles, agricultural activity can causes to increase in the concentration of CO2 or carbon dioxide heat into the atmosphere. This increase in a temperature causes the heat waves and makes it difficult to different animal for survive in the habitat. This is the simple effect as we get it in summer season. Then next one is the loss of wild species. Wildfire, deforestation, shifting habitat, and different other activity causes the loss of wildlife species, and which ultimately affect the energy cycle, food cycle, and water cycle in different ways. Then the rise in a sea level. If the Arctic ice get melt, there will be an increase in the sea level at near about 2 to 3 meter minimum in a different areas. This causes there will be a certain island will be vanished from the earth surface or get submerged in the water, and causes a very enormous effect, harmful effect on the environmental conditions. Okay, then a shifting habitat. As a prolonged heat waves, deforestation, wildfire, high temperature have pushed plant and animal towards the higher altitude. The worst part is that the most of them are not able to survive due to the changing climatic condition and move towards the extinction. So this is the simple effect of habitat shifting on the various kind of living species, plant and animals. Then high temperature. The continuous increase of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere has caused rise in a temperature called as the greenhouse effect. Though the greenhouse effect is necessary for survival of the all living system on this planet, but if there is the increase in these gases beyond the limit, will only create an harmful effect on the environment and causes these different kind of various effect on the ecosystem or the environment, and it will damages the environment for the next generations. So during last century, earth average temperature is raised by 1 degree Fahrenheit, which is itself is a causes of concern different effects. So these are the various kind of effect in climate change conditions and causes severe damage to the various levels. So this is all about the climate change and the effect of climate changing conditions. Thank you.